Okay, so first of all, welcome. I'm so excited. I thought New Year's no one's gonna come, and instead we have like a nice big class.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Anna. Great to see you.
With rainy New
I
Year's.
know. No, well, if it's New Year's, they're going out anyway. But if no one's great, they're not going out.
Honestly, I would have stayed in usually with the staying with the Katya. So
I had to talk her in.
Right.
Somebody wants to see you.
yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure. Anyway, so I just want to start off, unfortunately, with some not good news. So I have a niece that lives in Chicago, and her husband was diagnosed with chemo. I know sometimes I mention the name to like say their first name, like this last Sunday. So unfortunately, he passed away today. So I want to give the class in his memory. Rafaldo Ben Riva. He was like 30 years old, just short of his 31st birthday, and he had cancer. Sorry, did I say chemo? He had cancer, and like it was in the tongue, and then like they thought it was all taken care of, and then a few months later they checked and it was in the throat, and they couldn't like they tried different treatments and stuff, and it just didn't work. Yeah, and he has a 3-year-old and a 7-month-old. So
How is your baby?
yeah.
We have lights. Lights. It means that the
Like
tumor
good
is
things are
it's
happening?
okay,
Uh-huh.
clean, but we are working on her body, and
Yeah.
it's not easy.
Okay, but that's all ultimately
Yes,
good.
yes,
It's
yes.
ultimately good.
Journey.
Yeah, slow, but
So yeah,
that's
so
good news.
It's good. Yeah, it's kind of a journey, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, so Leonid Nishmas, I don't know if we still say it. They added his name a few weeks ago, Raphael, which means healing, like Rafaela. So I'm not sure like if you still use it once, if it didn't, but anyway. Rafaldo Berben Devar Rifa. Okay. So so I guess in this kind of situation, and then also by COVID time, if you remember, think back by COVID time, or at least me from being the Rebbitzin, or by October 7th, people came to me, you know what? I don't know if I believe in Mashiach, but now we really need it. And people would say things like that to me, like, oh, now I think, even these very secular Jews would mention something about um, like I think the answer now is Mashiach. What else could happen, right? And like, oh wow, everyone's waking up. So, Jews have been asking for Mashiach for many, many, many years, thousands and thousands of years, and in the bad times, but also in the good times. The good times, people also, have been asking for Mashiach. Um, does that so like some, in general here in America, life is good. Yeah, there are some hiccups now and then, but overall people live well and things are good and we still ask for Mashiach. Is that like being ungrateful? Is that thinking that oh no, life is not good enough? We always want better, like the Jewish kvetch? Like what's
That's redundant, Jewish question.
Jewish kvetch?
It's redundant.
So
See?
so
She from you, especially after the batting.
Especially what?
After the
Bondi.
Well, see, I was at my sister's place when Bondi happened, so we were all.
Were you near?
Was I
Were
what?
you near? Did you live near?
Not really, but I visited the community.
Oh, yeah, I figured because it's Chabad.
Yeah, well, actually, I wasn't with Chabad, but there were non-Chabad, like the Central Synagogue, which is the main, or like the big Orthodox synagogue, is not Chabad. So I could see in like all the newspaper articles pictures of people I had met, but they weren't Chabad. Well, actually, Rabbi Levi is Chabad, but he just runs a non-Chabad shul. So I guess actually,
but that's
the shuls
how it
run
works
by
a lot of
both
places. Are like not officially Chabad, but really like he's
Right.
considered a Chabad rabbi.
He's a Chabad rabbi, but his
I think
shul's
he is a
not
Chabad. I think so.
His
I don't know.
shul's not a Chabad though.
Anybody you knew that?
Thank goodness no. Thank goodness no.
Anyway, so is it showing lack of gratitude for us to be asking for Mashiach even when life is good? Is it
No.
okay? Because or why do we ask for Mashiach? Why are Jews always asking for Mashiach? Because that's for knowing that that's what's supposed to happen.
Now more because there's so much anti-Semitism.
Isn't it
Is
even
that-
like a
no.
display of faith?
It's a basic belief. It's true. Yes, it is.
It's always anti-Semitic.
Or what's wrong with Jews living in the diaspora? Jews not living in Israel? Like, I mean,
We're not protected.
okay. What else?
Yeah.
So we're going to discuss.
Not protected.
in Israel. We had October 7th. You have other things. You have terrorist things happening all the time. No, but the things happen
Why
all the time.
here you are protected?
No, she's saying not.
Not protected.
Yeah.
Ah.
No, I thought you are. You're saying in Israel you are protected.
But
In Israel you are.
But it's still terrorists.
there's
Things
Arabs
happen.
there are only 3.5% of the population in Australia, and there are too many of them. So Israel, what is it, 20%? How do you
That's only the ones that are officially living inside Israel, but the places around.
Surrounded by
Yeah.
like trillions of
Yeah.
them. 3.5% is already way too much.
So in this week's portion, is the last portion of the book of Vayechi, Vayechi, and Yaakov, our forefather Yaakov, who ends up in Egypt because his son Yosef is the viceroy, he's the second to the king. He asks before he passes away not to be buried in Egypt specifically. Through answering this question will help us answer why we always ask for Mashiach. Okay. I only have 5 books, so we'll have to share. Okay.
Showed up today.
Yeah.
And we even have online, we have Malcolm, Miriam, Catherine, Carrie. Okay. So, so Yaakov in general has a very, I'd say, dramatic or whatever life. He has problems with his brother when he's growing up, Esav. He runs away to Haran. His father-in-law is a not a nice guy, really sly and terrible. And he finally gets back to Israel just before his mother passes away. Then his wife dies before that, and then his son disappears, and he has a very tumultuous life. And then finally, once he ends up in Egypt, of all places, the last 17 years of his life, he has a very considering he has a very calm and in Hebrew we call it menuchas hanefesh, like a very
Nice retirement.
what?
Nice
Nice retirement. Okay, finally he's at peace, and he lives there in Egypt. But where does he live? In the Jewish enclave. There's a Jewish shtetl in the middle of Egypt called Goshen. He's surrounded with his family, and everything's good. And before he passes, he asks his son Yosef to make sure he gets buried in Israel, not in Egypt. Okay.
Right.
So let us read text number 1. Let's go around the room. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay, so page 206.
As Israel's Jacob's days near good passing, he summoned his son Joseph and said, "If I found favor in your eyes, please place your hand under my thigh. Treat me with loving kindness and truth. Do not bury me in Egypt. I will lie with my forefathers, and you will carry me from Egypt and bury me in their burial place." And Joseph replied, "I will do as you ask." And he said, "Swear to me." And Joseph swore to him, and Israel prostrated himself on the head of the bed.
Okay, so just look at this text. We're going to refer back to it a few times. So the first in 29, it says, "If I found favor in your eyes, please place your hand under my thigh." In the old days, before the Torah was given, believe it or not, they would put their hand in the place where a man had a circumcision, because that was the only way there was a physical connection to God on earth. And they would swear, they would make a oath in that way, because there was no a Torah, a holy book wasn't a holy book. It was just a book. There was nothing holiness about it. There was nothing holy about anything that you use for a mitzvah. That was the only thing. So he says, take an oath in Pasuk 29, and then again in 31, and Joseph swore to him, and he says, "Swear to me." He asks him to swear again. I'm just going to mute you, Malka, because I hear your TV or something in the background, okay? But welcome. It's good to see you. So he says, "Please take my body to Eretz Yisrael, to land of Israel, before my passing. Please swear this to me. Okay? Don't just bury me here in Egypt, okay?" So the question is, why did he make him swear? It's very strong in Judaism. Swearing an oath is a very, very huge responsibility, huge undertaking. If someone swears something, they really have to follow through totally. So couldn't they just rely on Yosef's good word? If Yosef tells his father, "Of course, Dad, I'll do this for you," wouldn't that be enough? Why do they actually have to swear? Okay, so let's read text number 2. What's so important about this swearing? Gaspatia. Oh, sorry. Who read? I forgot.
You want me to?
Oh, Leah read. Okay, so Sandy read.
Oh, no, I don't. Oh, okay.
If you can.
You want me to?
Yes.
Yeah, line 2, text 2.
When you,
Yes.
when you take an oath. I didn't bring my reading
Oh,
glasses.
I can read.
Okay, someone else can read it.
No obstacle can stop you, and you are compelled to get it done. An oath Oh, it's great. Oh, it's great. What a difference. In the oath marshals are concealed, intrinsic, intrinsic powers. What's
We'll finish reading and then we'll explain it.
Oh, and once these are activated, nothing can stand in our way. As our sages said, nothing stands in the way of the will.
Okay, once you give an oath, once you swear you're going to do something, it kind of brings out all your inner powers, all your everything part of you to make sure that you get it done. It's like gives you a um, much stronger commitment to get it done. It taps into the deepest commitment that you have, and you'll push through no matter what. Okay, because it's a very strong thing to give an oath. So Yaakov knew that there's going to be lots of red tape getting his body back to Israel from Egypt. Number one, just getting it out of Egypt itself. People would maybe want to make him into some type of shrine, some type of idol or something if he's buried there. Number two is even if they get the body out of Egypt, and if you remind me at the end, I'll tell you a story that happened to with my father-in-law and getting a body out of India. Okay, just remind me later. Number two is that once they get it out and they get it to Israel, now they have to go to the cave of Machpelah, the Marach Machpelah, and there they might not have an easy time getting it in and burying it. Even now, there's always problems now with the Arabs and the Jews in Marach Machpelah in the area. So how will they convince whoever's there to let them bury Yaakov's body there? They might protest and make problems. So only an oath would give Yosef all the power he would need to make sure that the job gets done, right? So if you swear, then you're not going to stop at anything. No matter what, you're going to keep on forging forward, no matter how hard the the job is. So it gives you more resolve than usual. Okay, text number.
What does that word mean?
Intrinsic, internal,
internal powers.
Like it's part of you. Something that's already part of you.
Naturally,
natural,
internal,
so part of you. Okay, number.
It's automatic
energy.
Text 3.
But it's good.
Okay, Jacob did not suspect his righteous, beloved son would disobey his father's instruction and his own word. I will do as you ask. Jacob asked for an oath to make it difficult for Pharaoh to refuse. Pharaoh might want to keep Joseph in Egypt and tell him to send Jacob with his brothers and servants. Or Pharaoh might insist that the prophet Jacob be buried in Egypt, bringing honor and merit to Egypt. Forcing Joseph to take an oath would make Pharaoh hesitate because asking someone to betray their oath is wrong. Being bound by an oath would also force Joseph to try harder, and this is precisely how it played out.
Okay, so there's all these reasons why Yaakov made Yosef promise, and since it's his project, he has this big commitment, and he's going to give everything he has to try and get that thing done. Yaakov cannot imagine being buried in a place like Egypt. This is not his home place, not his hometown. What was going on in Egypt was called the most immoral place in the planet, and he just couldn't imagine being buried there. He only wanted to be buried in the land of Israel, and he wanted Yosef to do everything in his power and beyond to make sure that this happened. Okay? So, as I said before, it seems like there's two oaths in text 1. I'm not going to go back to it now, but it said, put your hand under my thigh, and then he says again, and please, I ask of you to take this oath. So there's two. Why do we have to have two promises, two oaths, for Yosef to do what Yaakov wanted him to do? Why isn't one good enough? Okay, so that's another question. And now another thing is, why would Yaakov insist on going back to the land of Israel and but leave his family behind? I mean, okay, he's going there in death, but then his family won't be there to if there's a burial place in Egypt near them, and he knew that they're going to be slaves in the land of Egypt, that's what God had said. Wouldn't he want to be there so he could come there and pray and ask for him to intercede on their behalf, to get blessings, so they wouldn't have a support place, a place to pray, a graveside that they could pray at, because he's off in Israel and they're not able to get to Israel. So wouldn't he want to be there compassionate, as a compassionate um reason for him to stay in Egypt and let his family have a grave that they can go to and pray at when they need help? Why would he be so far away in the land of Israel? Okay, so let us to read text number 4. Hi, Eileen.
Hi, sorry I raced home from Pico. I was helping my daughter.
Okay, text number 4. Anna, did you read it?
No. Rabbi Yosef said, given that Jacob knew that his children would be subject to exile in Egypt, why was he not buried there so his merit could shield his children? Why did he want to escape Egypt? Is it not written, as a father has compassion for his children? Where was the compassion?
Okay, so this is the question I just said. It seems a little bit harsh of Yaakov to not want to be buried near his children. Why was he so insistent upon leaving and going to Israel? Why? So is it that he wanted to leave Egypt? Is it that he wanted to be specifically in Israel? What's going on? So Rashi has 3 interesting answers, and none of them seem very compassionate side of Yaakov. Text number 5.
Okay, I read in Hebrew.
Okay, no problem. And we'll follow along in English, everyone.
אל נא תקברני במצרים, סופה להיות עופרה, קינים ומרחשים תחת גופי, ושאין מטה חוצה לארץ חיים, אלא בצער גלגול מחלות, ושלא יעשוני מצרים עבודה זרה.
So basically, it seemed like he had his own personal reasons that's going to make it better for him not to be buried in Egypt, as opposed to any reason to help his family or anything deeper than that. It seems all about himself and not so much about his children. So very interesting. Okay, so shouldn't a loving father want to be there for their child? Shouldn't want to do what they can to make it best for their child? So what is going on over here? We know Yaakov was being a good man. So why does he just seem to be so uncompassionate? And then we have even a further question. If we look on later in life, is it stuck? I don't know why I always get stuck. If we look later on, Yosef, when Yosef dies,
give me
Jesus
Batya.
put rice-
Batya.
yeah.
Rice and salt,
Yeah.
so wouldn't.
Oh, right,
I don't
right,
understand.
you're right,
Not-
right.
oh,
It was the moisture, moisture.
Yeah.
It's true.
When before Yosef passes away, he tells his family to he knows he's going to be buried in Egypt, and he says, when the Jews leave Egypt, take me out of take my bones, take my remains out of Egypt with me. So why didn't Yosef insist on being buried in Israel too? Why did he not? He was okay to be buried in Egypt.
Was he buried? Oh, Joseph was buried in Egypt.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then they
okay.
took him out. Remember the whole story of how
Did he have a choice though?
So did
He
he have
was the prince. He became the right hand man to Paro and the prince of Egypt.
So maybe he didn't have a choice. Maybe
I don't think he really had a choice, did he?
that's possible. So that's one of the options. That's one of the things of maybe why. Yes, that's a good possibility. So let's read text number 6.
And in 6 we see that
No, he's in Shrem. He's buried in Shrem. Yeah. Okay, Eileen, can you read text number 6? Or you have,
that
let me
he
find
asked
it.
that the bones will be.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yosef told his brothers, I will die, and God will surely remember you and raise you from this land to the land he promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Joseph insisted on an oath from the children of Israel, saying, it's kind of cut out here, something, God will surely remember you, and you shall take up my bones out of here.
Okay, so very interesting. So Joseph also makes an oath, but he makes them that they'll take his bones out when they all leave. So he says, Hashem's for sure to remember you. So think about that for a minute, and take me with you then. But why didn't Yosef insist on being buried in Israel? So yes, it could be because logistically it would be impossible because he was such a high government position, practically, and number 2, he's not going to be in position anymore. Who's going to be? There's not going to be another Jew in such a high position to lobby on his behalf to get him out. Also, that's also practically might not be so easy because who's gonna advocate that his bones he should be buried in Egypt too? It's true. So text number 7.
So Yaakov wanted immediately out.
Yes,
Immediately.
yes,
I
yes.
die, you take it out
Yes.
the next second.
Yes.
Compared to Yosef, you can bury me and then take
And
me.
this is like, over 100, 100 to 200 years later. Yeah,
So if he
150.
gets out, it's just a matter of
When.
When.
Right,
Okay,
right. Okay, at least want to read again.
Joseph said, I was ruler over Egypt and had the authority to bury my father in Israel. However, the Egyptians will prevent my children from doing the same for me. Therefore, he made them promise they would take him along when they left.
Okay, so yeah, Joseph may be, it'd be nice to be buried in Israel, but I'm not going to have much of a choice. That's kind of what Eileen said, yes. And on the other hand, it says that nothing can happen to a tzaddik if he doesn't okay it, if he doesn't will it. Um, so if he really, really wanted, if Yosef really, really wanted, and we know Yosef was a tzaddik, he could have, in his own will said, I am not going to be buried in Egypt, and somehow God would have had to find a way for him to get buried, to go to Israel, but he doesn't do
because
this.
the Egyptians will be scared. So you put the bones in Egypt, and all the Egyptians are like, whoa, he's still here. The vibes are there. They're probably scared that he's still there, right? Even in death. I think the Egyptians are intimidated by him being buried there.
But we're going to look at it from more of a spiritual sense. Why it was good for Yosef to be buried in Egypt.
Egyptians are spiritually
okay, so first let's just read this there.
harmed when he's in there. They're messed up.
Okay, but so whatever it is, somehow Yosef kind of felt okay. He was okay with staying in Egypt for the time being until the Jews left. Okay. Wait, did we read
8?
We're on 8 now.
We didn't read 8 yet.
No,
Okay. So
no, 7.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sandy, here's my glasses.
Oh.
we have Carrie. You want to read? Are you okay to read?
Carrie.
Just okay, great.
This Joseph was buried in Egypt, unlike Jacob, who was buried in Israel, to empower the Jews while still in Egypt to overcome the exile and control it rather than be controlled by it. This made it possible for them to leave Egypt.
So this is a very interesting twist. This is from the Rebbe. The Rebbe says that Joseph was buried in Egypt. He was there not just as that his children and the Jewish people would come and pray by him and feel the support, but he actually was a huge support for them being there. It gave them the possibility to overcome the difficulties in exile and the possibility that they should leave, that they should get out of there. Okay, so he didn't stay in Egypt because there was no choice. He was a government official and that's it. He couldn't do anything about it. But he did it specifically that it would help the Jewish people that were left there. It would give them strength, and they knew that their leader was with them, and it would also help solidify the pledge that would be to take them out. So basically, he says, God will take you out of Egypt, and with that, when he takes you out of Egypt, take my bones with you. So they felt that promise. Yosef said, Hashem's going to take us out of Egypt. It was it made them feel that's actually going to happen, that they weren't stuck there forever, that they weren't just lost in the Egyptian exile, and that's it. They knew Hashem would take them out at some point. So this to them was a key to the redemption, that if Yosef said that Hashem's going to remember us and take us out, and that it can make them felt much better, the wording that's constantly used throughout the Torah is and God remembered them. So when Moshe, right before that, says the Jews cried out to God, and God remembered them, and then He sends Moshe to go to Paro and tell him to take the joke. So why didn't Yaakov feel the same way? Why didn't Yaakov go along these lines too? He should have also said, "Hey, if I'm there, it will give them the spiritual powers. My being there, my body will give that spiritual energy to help get them out." But Yaakov and Yosef were made of two different stuff. Even though they were father and son, they were two different types of people. Okay, so Yaakov himself, he could not stay in exile. He couldn't. It wasn't him. He was saintly and holy. His
name was Israel.
His name was changed to Israel. That's true.
So it must be in Israel.
And that's what we thought. And he spent time by Lavan's house in Haran out of Israel. And in the last 17 years of his life, he spent in Egypt. But really, his home, his real place that he felt most comfortable was in Israel, surrounded by holiness, surrounded by goodness. We once had this woman who came to shul like a Shabbos to visit. She was visiting her daughter. I don't know if her daughter was religious or not, but she was like supposedly this lady was very, very religious, or she thought she was religious, very, very religious. And she comes to the Chabad and she's like just cursing the place out. Not the Chabad house itself, but oh, I can't handle there's cars on the street. It's Shabbos. Oh my goodness. There's Goyim walking down the street. There's this, there's that. And she was like going crazy because she wasn't in this like utopian Jewish Bnei Brak kind of neighborhood where like it's all Shabbos and everyone's keeping Shabbos and you only feel the Shabbos atmosphere. She was getting so nervous that she saw all this like
Was she
weekday.
American?
No, she was Israeli. She was coming from Israel.
Maybe she was in Philip. Oh, was she in Israel?
She's from Israel, but here she just kept on complaining about her visit in Santa Monica. And she wasn't like, she wasn't even in Pico, at least where there's like a Jewish neighborhood. She's in Santa Monica, like who's Jewish in Santa Monica? But like, instead of being okay, I'm in a non-Jewish neighborhood, like she was so like in her bubble in Israel, that it was so hard for her to like, so Yaakov, not to that extent, but the same idea. His real place, the place where he felt most at home, the place where it was his place, and he like, felt comfortable, and it was, it was him, was Israel, was the Holy Land of Israel. And he couldn't handle all the stuff going on in Egypt, the immorality, the idol worship, the this, the that. It didn't jive with him at all. Of course, when he lived there, and before he came, we read in last week's parsha that it says that he sent Yehuda ahead to like make yeshivas, to set up a Jewish infrastructure in the land of Goshen in Egypt, because that way he'd come and there's already Jewish stuff. Like imagine you move to like the people who first came from Europe to America, and like you come to a town and there was no Jewish butcher, there was no Jewish school, there was no shul. They had to like kind of build from. The people came later, the people came after the Holocaust, a lot of these things were already there, and those people, it was much easier for them to stay religious. So when he came to Egypt, Yehuda already set up the Jewish infrastructure. So he came, and he felt like he was in a little Mea She'arim, mini Mea She'arim, in Goshen, in Egypt, and he felt okay. But he knew that it wasn't going to last in the same way, and he really wanted to get back to be in the real Mea She'arim, in the real, Jewish enclave, the real Israel. And what's interesting is that if we know the story of remember when Sarah and Avram they have to go leave Israel because there's a famine. They go to Egypt, and then the Egyptians kidnap or take Sarah to like be like they want to bring him to Paro, and God makes miracles, and she's not touched and she's not hurt. And then the Egyptian king, Paro, then gives them all these gifts, like just get out of my country, here, take stuff. And one of the things that he gave them was this land of Goshen. So this land of Goshen, this area actually belonged to the Jewish people, belonged to Avram and Sarah. So when Yosef said, "Can my family's coming, could they have a land? Give us back that land that's really ours, Goshen." So it's very interesting. So really, they just gave them back this homestead of Goshen, but they knew, and the Jews were did really well there, and a lot of Torah flourished there, but they themselves flourished there. But really, they knew once Yosef passes away, that might not last, which is what happened. Once Yosef's not there anymore, not in the picture, boom, out come all the decrees, kill the Jews, right? So and also once he's gone, there's no autonomy. Till then, there was a certain autonomy, they have a Jewish autonomy over this land of Goshen. And once Yosef's gone, all of a sudden, Paro comes, takes over, and makes all these problems. So Yaakov said, I can't handle it. I'm not going to stay in this place, Egypt. I'm getting out of here. I need to go to Israel. Okay. So Yosef, so that's Yaakov. Yosef was the opposite. Yosef was the one that he gets his brother selling to the caravan. He ends up in Egypt. And in Egypt, what happens? He thrives, right? He becomes like the second to the king. In Egypt itself, he's called Yosef HaTzadik. That means even this place where there's no Judaism around him, there's no infrastructure, everyone's doing God knows what. It's a pagan land, and Yosef becomes stronger. That's what brings out Yosef's strength, is when I'm different than everyone else. I'm in a place where everyone's different than me, but I am who I am, and I'm not going to change that. He was like the diaspora Jew, the exile Jew, and he transformed Egypt. So he was so strong that he knew that he didn't bother him in the same way to stay in Egypt. In a way, he felt comfortable being the odd one out. And he said, I'm never going to abandon my children. I'm never going to abandon the Jewish people in Egypt. I was here as their leader. I'm going to stay here as their leader. So the first promise, so now that we know the difference between Yaakov and Yosef, we have to look at it. The promises that why Yaakov asked Yosef to promise him to take him out and bury him in Israel. So the first promise, the first oath to give Yosef like a physical empowerment. You're going to have problems getting me out of the country. You're going to have problems burying me in Israel. That oath should give you the power to overcome those obstacles. The second oath, the second promise was to overcome Yosef's own internal hesitations and resistance. Yosef will say, oh, what's the big deal? Stay in Egypt. It's not so bad for you here. It's okay. But so he had a promise again to say, even if I have a different way of looking at it, I'm going to make sure to bury you in Israel.
Mm.
Okay? So interesting is that in the Talmud, it talks about an oath that each one of us take.
Okay.
Each, one second. So we see the one oath was for our outer physical empowerment. One was for our inner struggles, for Joseph's inner struggles. And so the Talmud itself gives us that gives us an empowerment for our inner selves too.
Read. Oh, sorry.
Okay, there's a lot of noties over here.
Read.
Okay. Okay, text 9a.
They're changing.
You bet.
Oh yeah, here. What? Okay, so the outside collapse. Wait, this is the outside collapse. No. I'm looking over here. The title.
Yeah.
The outside collaborators. The second oath. Internal barriers. Okay, that's the title.
Mm-hmm.
What is the oath that the angel administer to the fetus? By righteous and do not be wicked.
Be righteous and do not be wicked. So before every child is born, they command the soul that's being born, be righteous and do not be wicked. Okay?
Man, but is it really happening? Who knows?
So, well, that's the thing. It helps us to overcome our internal struggle and resistance to serving Hashem. So it gives us that internal resistance to make sure we listen to our godly soul and not our animal soul, and try to overcome some of the moral difficulties that come our way in our lifetime. So let us read 9b.
9b.
Okay.
You want me to read?
Whatever you want. But you can read it, it's too
We're
long.
going around.
Oh,
So
you
you're
want me to
not.
read the Hebrew and
The
English?
English is fine.
Just saying.
Just
Yeah.
These are magnifying though. They're not
The reading
prescription.
glasses.
Oh, they're great. The Hebrew words for oath, Shavah,
Shavua.
Rash,
Shua.
and Sova, full satisfied, are similar. This indicates that an oath, satiate, or fills us with strength. We are
Satiated.
satiated by the empowerment we receive from God through our oath to study the Torah and practice the mitzvot. When we eat and we're full, we're physically stronger and happier. The same applies in spiritual sense when we take an oath. God fills us with power and we are satiated. I
Satiated.
don't know what that
Satiate.
means.
Satisfied.
Or
Satiate.
satisfied.
We're satiated.
Satiate. You're full. Satiate.
Empowered from above to overcome the wills of our animal soul and its sinful temptations.
Okay, so we have our godly soul, right, and our animal soul. And the godly soul is given this oath, made to say an oath. I'm going to be righteous and not be wicked. And that helps us because, so the word shavua is the letters shin, vav, ayin. And soveya is sin, which shin and sin are interchangeable. Vay's ayin. And so shavua means oath. Soveya means to be satisfied. So if we have that oath, it gives us it gives our soul the fullness, to the satisfaction that we can have that strength to overcome all the things that the animal soul wants us to do, right? So the animal soul and the godly soul are constantly like battling who's going to win, who's going to take over the body. We're going to do what God wants, or we're going to do what our desires are. And what helps us overcome our animal soul and desires is that swearing that we did as we were entering into the world, and we said, okay, we're going to be good, and so we're going to be righteous.
What is the word that you use here for fetus? How does that actually translate in Hebrew?
No, but the Hebrew, when I was reading the Hebrew, it did say fetus.
What is it?
No, sova.
Just him.
Sova.
It just no.
Sova.
I'm talking about 9a. It doesn't. It just says him. It whatever. It doesn't say It's the Talmud is referring to the fetus before. It doesn't say the word, but here it says
No, shvua, it's not fitting.
no.
In A.
No. How do you say Nola? Baby inside the
Uba.
Fetus.
no.
Yeah,
The actual baby. The actual.
Nizon.
Baby is a fetus.
No, talking about the Hebrew word. Talking about the
Yeah,
Hebrew word.
Tinoch?
The
No.
baby's inside.
So, ubar.
Ubar, the actual baby.
Yes, the baby inside.
called ubar?
But it's not ubar, but the word is not ubar.
No. The word here doesn't say the name fetus. It just says it.
It says it.
Because it's talking about it before. Yeah.
Oh, from the previous context.
Yeah.
The previous context. You have to have the previous context. So if you write this book, we want the previous context.
Well, no, go to the Talmud and look it up. It tells you where to look at. Okay. Okay.
That's what she's saying.
No, I understand that. No, I said print it. So we can know that.
You might have to print the whole entire
No,
tractate.
that's not previous.
Well, we don't know if previous sentence has it or not. It might be three paragraphs
so
before.
So it is not fetus. So I disagree with you now. It's not
Okay,
fetus.
next. Okay.
Fetus.
It's not.
It doesn't say fetus.
She's not verifying it either.
Why not fetus? That's what
So anyway,
in
so
the paragraph preceding, and you just keep going. It.
So
okay. So by swearing that we should be good, we should be righteous and not evil, it's giving our godly soul that endurance and that like defiance to stand up and do what is right. So Yosef, was I said before, he was a tzaddik. A tzaddik has no animal soul because they already overcame. They already got their whole animal soul just to work for the godly soul. They got the whole animal soul only to have desires that are godly, only to do things that God wants. So his animal soul has no negative influence on him. Only his godly soul has influence on him. And his godly soul was different than his father's godly soul. So Yaakov knew that. And even within that, he said, I know you're doing everything what you do is from a good place, but I need you to do what I need, what's good for me and what's good for my soul. And so he made him swear or give an oath twice to overcome his inner resistance by overcoming his own inner soul, and obviously the external resistances that may come along. Okay, so that's very nice. Everyone got it? Okay. Sure. So question still is, why would Yaakov abandon his children? Why would he leave Egypt and go, so, I don't know how many miles away it is. Who knows how many miles away Egypt is from Israel? I don't know. Hundreds, whatever. Yeah, it's not too far. I mean, when we think of in terms of America, it's like much bigger. Anyway, so why would Yaakov leave his children behind and not care about them, not care about staying there and being there as a support for them in Egypt while they're going through all that slavery and hardships and everything? So let us read text number 10. We're going to read this interesting story from the Talmud. Another story from the Talmud that if that's going to say, oh no, but it doesn't say this, it doesn't say that. Look at that 5 paragraphs. Okay.
I want the opposite.
Okay. Text 10. Batya.
Rabbi Kia.
Mm-hmm.
Rabbi Kia fell ill. Rabbi Yochanan came to visit and asked, "Do you enjoy suffering?" Rabbi Kia replied, "I don't like suffering, and I don't like its reward." Rabbi Yochanan said, "Give me your hand." He gave Rabbi Yochanan, am I saying it right? Yochanan his hand and was miraculously cured. Rabbi Yochanan fell ill. Rabbi Hanina came to visit and asked, "Do you enjoy suffering?"
Why they transferred this?
Right.
I have no idea.
Right.
It goes on. Rabbi Yochanan replied, "I don't like suffering and I don't like its reward." Rabbi Hanina said, "Give me your hand." He gave Rabbi Hanina untwisted his hand and was miraculous. Should I just read this?
Yes.
And was miraculously cured. Why didn't Rabbi Yochanan cure himself? Evidently, this is what people mean when they say prisoners can't free themselves.
So yes, they both had the power to help and to do something, but as I say, you can't unlock your own handcuffs. When you're in a situation, when you're yourself, like, right, let's say they say, let's say you have an issue and you have a problem and you're going, what do you do? How do you deal with it? You go to a therapist, right? You might be a therapist yourself, but when you're going through it, you need to speak it out and have someone else from the outside come in and be able to assist you. When when you are in it yourself, you can't lift yourself out of the issue. So the same thing here. The Jews are enslaved in Egypt. They're like prisoners, and inside the prison, it's like Yosef is sitting there and giving them the encouragement. He's buried there. They can go to his grave. They can pray to him. The energy, his spiritual energy there is helping them get out of Egypt. But they need to get out. So they need someone from the outside to come from the outside and pull them out. And that's Yaakov, who's buried in Israel. Since he's on the outside, he is able to use his spiritual energies, his from being in the land of Israel, from being in this free place, to be able to save them from the outside, right? So you have the person that's with them and helping them where they are in that place, and then you have the person who's out,
So it gives them hope.
who's able to bring them
some hope. That's what I thought. The reason I thought he's gonna look, I'm gonna give you hope. I'm out here, so the bottom line is you have hope.
No, it's not just hope. It's not just hope. It's also just like a spiritual thing that from the outside he's able to not just give them hope, but he's able to kind of pull them out. He's in a complete holy place.
Well, maybe it's like if you're Houdini, you can get out of your own handcuffs. If you're Houdini.
Okay. So from Israel, Yaakov leveraged his natural state. Yaakov was in his comfortable place, and from being in an untouched place, from not being in a place like Egypt, he was able to bring out the element in his children's souls that they were able to get out of Egypt. So let's read text number 11.
That's me.
That's you, I guess.
Jacob had to transcend Egypt's culture and power. He also needed to bind Joseph with an oath to carry him out of Egypt. This is how Jacob lifted and bound Joseph to his level, to be exalted above Egypt. This is implied by his instruction to Joseph to take him up from Egypt. In turn, this enabled Joseph to channel this transcendence over Egypt to all Jews, so that God's promise to Jacob, "And I will surely lift you," would come true for all Jews. The people would be lifted from their submission to Egypt.
Okay, so think of a family in prison. So on one hand, they need the father there with them, encouraging them and saying, "Don't worry, we're going to get out of this," give them the confidence and hope, and makes sure they don't succumb to their despair and everything. And on the outside, they still need someone on the outside to try to keep them, to get them out, to free them from the outside, from whatever they have available, out the outside resources to make it happen. So we asked in the beginning of the class, why do we always ask for the redemption? Why do we always ask for Mashiach, even when times are good for us, in exile? So yes, on one hand, things might be good, just like Yaakov, lived in Egypt, and that was his best years of his life, and everything was fine. They had all the physical needs, and Yosef took care of them because he was the viceroy. But Yaakov couldn't wait to leave Egypt because diaspora is not a home for the Jew. Living out of Israel, living in exile, living under the what's it called, the government, the sovereignty of foreign people is not really who we really are, and it makes us forget where our home really is. So we always have to remember, even when we're having the most enjoyable, good life, the best vacation, the best everything, that the real place where a Jew belongs is in the land of Israel, is to live by the Torah law, and till that happens, until Israel is completely a safe and good place, because there's no enemies around us and there's no problems or anything, we are not really free, and we always have to ask for Mashiach, even if everything seems to be always a good thing, because really it doesn't. There's always the reminders that remind us that it's not.
Amen.
So that is the And this is the last, right? This is Vayechi. This is the last parsha of this book, of the book of Bereshit. So when we go to Shul, it's gonna be Chazak, Chazak. It's gonna be the that's how to say Chazak, Chazak. When it's Chazak, the
Become stronger.
yeah, the whatever it's called.